Hello students, you're welcome to today's lesson. Last lesson we looked at transportation in Nigeria and the focus was on land transport. So today we're looking at air transport and water transport in Nigeria. Now some of the objectives of the lesson, we'll be discussing the definition. First, you should be able to define air transport. We'll be looking at the types of air transport in Nigeria. Also, we'll be looking at the advantages of air transport in Nigeria. Thereafter, we'll proceed to the disadvantages of air transport in Nigeria and some of the limitations of air transport in Nigeria. Thereafter, we'll look at some of the solutions to the problem of air transportation. Now, from there, we are going to proceed to water transport. Water transport, we'll be looking at the definition and the types of water transport. We should be able to define ocean navigation, and we will be discussing about the advantages and disadvantages of water transportation in Nigeria. Also, we're looking at the limitations of water transport and providing solutions to some of these limitations. Also, we're looking at problems of transportation in Nigeria. Now, the question is, what is air transportation? Air transport is the fastest and the most expensive means of transportation, and it involves the use of aeroplane, helicopters, jets, and rockets to move from one place to another, passing through the air. Air transport is one of the most recent mode of transport, and it helps to connect international boundaries. This will take us to airports. Airports are places where aircraft or aeroplane take off and land. There are two types of airports. We have the international airports and the domestic airports. The international airports are airports where planes that flies outside the country can take off or land. Examples, we have the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. We also have the Abuja International Airport. Then we have the Aminu Kano International Airport. This will take us to the domestic airports. I would say the domestic airports, they are airports where planes that fly within the country take off from and land as well. Examples, we have the Benin airports, the Ikeja, the Enugu, Calabar, Minna domestic airports. This will take us to the advantages of air transport. Air transport is the fastest means of transportation. It also uses direct routes. Air transport can actually reach any place provided there are landing facilities, and they can cross mountains, dense forest, and large ocean with great ease and speed. Some of the disadvantages of air transport is that they are expensive to operate and to maintain, especially the aircraft and airport facilities. Air transport is also very expensive in terms of fares or charges paid by passengers, and it is easily affected by bad weather. Also have the problem of lack of space in the aircraft, and these tend to restrict their use for flights. Looking at the limitations of air transport, they are limited by capital to construct airports. Also, there's inadequate indigenous skilled labor for construction and maintenance of airports. There is also the problem of inadequate spare parts, and there is the limited trading between countries in the sub-region. Some of the solutions: educational system should be changed to favor technical and scientific skills. And from there, we'll proceed to water transport. Water transport is divided into two parts. We have the ocean navigation and inland navigation. Now, the ocean navigation involves transportation by water between Nigeria and another country, and between two regions in the country using the ocean, especially along the coastline. While inland water navigation involves the navigation along creeks, lakes, lagoons, and rivers. The most important inland waterways are the River Niger, River Benue, the Cross River, and the Lake Chad. Advantages of water transport: one, we said that it is the cheapest means of transport between two countries. Also, the ocean is free for all nations to use. It is also used to move bulky goods from one country to another during international trade. And cost of construction and maintenance is low for transporting goods over long distance, because it is relatively safe. Some of the disadvantages of water transport is that it is a very slow means of transport. It is the slowest, and its cost to acquire a ship is very high. Now we talk about some of the limitations. The limitations of water transport: we have the presence of rapids and cataracts, and these tend to limit the use of rivers. Then we also talk about the presence of waterfalls, which tends to also limit the use of rivers. Now, when we have these waterfalls, the volume of water will be high, and it tends to slow the speed. Then we also have presence of floating vegetation. This is a major factor that limits the movement of water transport. Now, some of the solutions to these problems: we said the rivers, they should be dragged regularly, thereby removing some of these water weeds. And also, there should be improved technology and installation of modern navigational aids, and the use of ice breakers. Also talk about the availability of loans to construct and maintain seaports. Loans should be granted to construct and maintain seaports as well. Then we also have canals Canals should be constructed to bypass waterfalls and cataracts. Also, canals should also be constructed to reach landlocked countries. Landlocked countries are those countries which do not have access to water. So canals should be constructed to reach such countries. This will take us to the problems of transportation. Generally, several factors hinders transportation, and these factors are grouped into two: the physical factor and human factor. Talking about the physical factor, we are talking about presence of highlands. This tends to limit the construction of roads and railways. Then the presence of marshy area, it also limits the development of roads and railways. This can only be overcome through the construction of flyovers. They also have presence of many rivers. This is a problem in the development of transportation by road and railways. The only solution is the construction of bridges across such rivers. Also, we talk about presence of erosion. Owing to heavy rainfall, the roads and railway tracks are often washed away, and the only solution is to construct culverts or good gutters. Another problem is poor visibility. Poor visibility is a problem that is peculiar to air transport and ocean transport. This is due to the formation of fog in the atmosphere. As such, it is a major problem that hinders transportation because flights cannot take off when there is poor visibility. Some of the human factors include lack of capital. Without capital, roads cannot be constructed. Airports also and railways cannot be constructed and maintained. Also, we have the problem of low patronage and inadequate spare parts. Lack of technical know-how. Now, inadequate spare parts is a major problem in developing countries and are not always available to replace when they are worn out. So these problems should be solved by provision of adequate spare parts and also training to get adequate knowledge. With this, we have come to the end of the lesson. Bye for now and see you in my next class.